This man is authoring quite a story in the GNCC series with 2 wins in a row. He's a fill-in rider, apparently. We'll get to the bottom of that. He got let go from his team earlier this year. He is a fan favorite no matter where he goes. Let's dive into this, shall we? It's Stu Baylor. What's up, Stu? How are you, man?
Oh, I'm on a high note right now. Everything's going good.
Yeah, bro, you're crushing it right now. And I got to say, like, I don't follow GNCCs too much. I've raced a few of them. We had Caleb on the show a few times. And so I don't follow him so much. But, dude, you have such a fan base. People are loving Stu Baylor right now.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think a lot of it is the reason that you know, maybe I wasn't on a factory team. My mouth.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of guys feel like they can relate to me because I open my mouth before I think a lot of times. And, you know, it's at the end of the day, we all got into this sport for one reason. It's to have fun. I don't want to make it miserable. Nobody does.
Do you think a little bit about – look, you're a great rider anyways. You've done certainly well in the past. But do you think a little bit of what your success has been lately is because you're a little bit of no fucks given right now? Like you literally just showing up. You rode a practice bike last race. It's a one race. Like, do you think a little bit of your success has to do with that?
You know, I've been going back and forth on that.
Okay.
And in my mind, it's a hard fight because – I mean, I worked my ass off at the beginning of this year, and then we had I had quite a rough mid part of the year, and then I worked my ass off to get back to where I was. And I know I put a lot of work in, but at the same time, it's kind of like I know I'm not as fit as those guys. They've been racing 3 hours all year long.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it is. I mean, like when you line up and you know, at the end of the day, you're not here for points. Like,
right.
I don't know. For my entire career, I've been, you know, you come to the track, you drive in your A-class RV, you park up, you sit there from Thursday to Sunday, and you pedal the track over and over. You've got your little routine. Everything works, and I've done it the same way since I was a kid. And, you know, right now, it's like, all right, we lose our job. You can no longer afford your A-class RV, so you're pulling in with a pickup truck and a trailer, hoteling it, and eating Japanese or whatever, you know, whatever's close in the nearest town. And, and you show up on Sunday, and honestly, you know, it's a mix. I think it's a mix of the two, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I think coming in with no fucks attitude is definitely working right now, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be a little more difficult to carry that into next season. But you know, I think you know, mental game is obviously huge in what we do.
So I was reading the Racer X interview. So this was a Randy Hawkins, Yamaha guy, of course. By the way, I'm one of your teammates. I'm a Blue Crew supporter, also Stu. So this was a one race deal, and it was a practice bike. Are you now like on the team and you got a race bike, or how did this past weekend go for you? Like, what's the status?
No, I'm still on a practice bike. I mean, so I went out and I rode a Husqvarna, and then I bought a Kawasaki, and I've never ridden anything but KTM until this season. And my entire career, from the time I could walk, literally the time I could walk. At 2 years old, 3 years old, I got a KTM. Stayed there 10 years professionally, and then moved to Sherco, then moved to I rode a Husqvarna, then a Cowie, and then this Yamaha deal just kind of came about. And a lot of the reason why is you know, everybody says it. Yamaha's bulletproof. You can't hurt the Yamaha. I've heard it over and over and over again. And Randy and those guys are about an hour from me.
Okay.
So, you know, most of the teams see them based in Maria, California, or Pennsylvania, Ohio. It just has always seemed like it would make sense for my brother and myself to ride for AmPro in South Carolina, and it's just never been. I guess on either side, we've never had a situation where we could work together. And this time around, you know, I went out and bought a Cowie. I was talking to one of the mechanics. He was like, "Dude, you know the bikes are bulletproof. Come ride one, see what you think." At that time, personally, I rode my brother's FX in 2015. I hated it. I thought it was garbage. I absolutely hated it. When I got on the Yamaha this time, it was a totally different bike. and the motor. I mean, that's what sold me. The motor was great. So, obviously, I guess to wrap it up, to bring it back, it's still a practice bike.
Okay.
It's got a lot of hours on it, and at the end of the day, we know they're bulletproof, so it doesn't really matter. I'm still getting, good results on it.
And you'll be at the next 2 for Randy on a practice Yamaha? That's official? That's confirmed?
Not official, but that's the plan.
Right.
We're making sure that everything works for both parties, but
right.
Moving forward, I feel that I can win on the Yamaha. I think the bike suits me, and like I said, I mean the motor is what does it for me. I really think that motor did it. And a few other things that I haven't had in the past. That bike just really seems to suit my style. So we're trying to work out something a little more long term than just the rest of the season. But as it stands, I would say most likely I'll be on a Yamaha for now, and hopefully potentially into the future.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of my next question. That's where I was going. Like, you see yourself, getting signed and having a full season and going for the championship, right? Like that's what you'd like to do.
Yeah. 100%.
Right.
I mean, I would have loved to do. I really wanted to do it while Caleb was still racing, and he kind of announced that he was retiring a little late last year. And, And I've been, it makes you feel old. Like Caleb was one of my childhood heroes that I looked up to, and then he became a friend, and then he became a competitor who I didn't like for a while, and I don't think he liked me for a while. And now we're friends again and racing for race wins. And I think I like to be a thorn in his side. I can be a pain in his ass because I can talk a little more shit than the rest of the guys, and
right.
I'm pretty good at it. So, but no, Caleb's a good sport. But at the end of the day, we all want to beat Caleb. He's been so dominant. But it's now that scurry where everybody's trying to say, okay, well, I'm going to be the next guy. I could care less who the next guy is. I could care less if it's me or anybody else. I want to beat Caleb right now.
Right.
That was my thing when I lined up this year, knowing that he was done. And yes, moving forward, I'd love to get that GNCC championship. It's one of the things that's eluded me. I've got a junior world championship at 6 days, a trophy world championship at 6 days, multiple national enduro, a full grass championship. Basically everything that I've set out to do, I've accomplished except that GNCC championship. But without Caleb being there, it's definitely going to be bittersweet if I get it. I mean, it would be I would much rather to put him out than him just leave.
Right.
But
well, let's start the rumor now. Let's start the rumor now that Caleb's faking his knee injury to get away from you the last few. Let's start that rumor now.
I put him out in early retirement. That's what I'm calling it. Early retirement.
I'm in studio with a couple of privateer guys, and they both ridden Yamahas here and there, and you guys know the motor is pretty good. So Stu is
it's rather fast. It's hard to believe because it's such a fast bike. I mean I'm not a GNCC guy by any means, but is the bike really good like in the woods, or are you more happy with it like in the faster sections? Like where do you see that it drives?
Because it is bigger than a lot of bikes.
Yeah, it's a bigger bike.
It's a bigger bike.
I mean it's so fast. I would imagine it'd almost be hard to ride in the trees.
It's actually the exact opposite. I thought the same thing, and I actually texted or messaged Aaron Plessner a little bit about it. Like, I personally feel like the only thing that I don't like about the Yamaha is the chassis moves a lot. So in the faster sections, the moto sections, like I think it'd be a great supercross bike. Like the bike turns on a dime. I mean, it turns on a dime, any RPMs from bottom to top, the motor you can put it wherever you want it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I don't like is how twitchy and upset the chassis gets, which I think it can be fixed. Obviously I'm lining up on this bike with, I've got an hour of testing with my suspension guy, Jay, and basically, I don't know. I'm sure it can be better. I just feel that what I've seen, the chassis is easily upset in the faster terrain. So in the woods, even though it is a little heavier and even top heavier,
Yeah.
which when I first got on the bike, I thought the same thing that you guys are thinking. Like, you put this thing in tight trees, like, good luck. I mean, that is honestly what I thought. But last weekend was a National Enduro, a technical rocky Enduro, and the way the bike stays planted to the ground, I didn't feel myself fighting the weight by any means, which was kind of surprising to me. I mean, I really did think that I would feel that higher weight. And the only time, like I said, the only time that I feel that weight being high, I think, is the transfer from braking and accelerating. You can feel the bike rock. And I've ridden the 250F, the Yamaha 250F. I personally don't think you can beat it.
Yeah, neither does anybody in the motocross series right now going on, Stu. Everybody is saying the exact same thing as Ferrandis and the Star guys go right by them. You know, A-Ray, you and Stu are X-Brand Goggles teammates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're teammates,
teammates.
dude. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah.
Choice of champions everywhere like Stu or Baylor.
That's awesome.
All right, go ahead.
So I have a question. Obviously you guys raced for a very long time. I've done one GNCC. It wasn't a GNCC. It was a Mid-South. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a sort of like a smaller race. About a 30-minute lap time, 3-hour race. My first question is, how do you keep focus for that long? Like, when you're fucking balls to the walls, wide open through these freaking trees, dude. Like, how do you stay focused and not just freaking beeline and just run straight into a tree? Dude, I did that Mid-South. I hit the same fucking tree 2 laps in a row. The second time I hit it so hard, fucking dead on, that my front fender popped inside out. It was like boing.
But A-Ray, this is you. Like people like no offense.
Well,
like,
I mean, how do you just my question is, how do you stay focused for that long and go so fast through them fucking trees?
Honestly, it is the most difficult thing to learn, as well as the most difficult thing to teach, because it's I do a lot of riding schools, and that's one of the hardest things that I can sit there and I've worked with guys that are close to as fast as I am, and it's the same thing as, how can you go to MTF and watch all of these supercross riders, these amateur supercross riders, stay on top of these whoops all day long and nail these rhythm sections, and they run just as fast within a quarter of a second of the pros all day long, but then they go to Daytona and they're 3 seconds off in qualifying and they never make it. I mean, it's something that I guess it's something that I don't even know if you can learn or teach it. So the answer to your question is, I don't know if I can really answer it. It's just like if I were to ask you, basically what I'm saying, like you can go to, I mean, I've seen these guys at supercross facilities. I've seen these guys, I've gone and ridden with a bunch of top guys on a supercross motocross track, and you run into it. You run into this guy that's a local hero here and there in the motocross world, but you take him to a national and he's nowhere close. He's it's like a mental thing that you have to basically override. Like, how am I gonna suffer through this for 3 hours, but also stay focused? Like, it's something I can't really explain.
Yeah, I hear that. It's like going to Glen Helen on a Thursday and you got to do it on a Super Mini, just up your fucking ass.
Dude, Adam Cincerello on I was riding. I just moved to Pro 2, so I was, I don't know, 15 years old. He would have been like 12 or 13, and we were down at like Bissell. And he's on a Super Mini.
Yeah.
And I jumped out. I'm like, he looks like he's going pretty good. Like, I'm going to jump in with this kid. He's putting like 2 seconds a lap on me on a Super Mini in the sand. Anywhere else, okay. Like,
right.
All right, it's dirt, whatever. A Super Mini in the sand, and he's putting 2 seconds on me. Come on. Yeah, no, I get you.
That's because Alan would have whooped his ass if you would have passed him.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Stu Baylor on the Pulp MX show. And brought to you by VortexRacing.com. Please check those guys out. Sprockets, bars, lots of things at Vortex Racing. Email Kyle at VortexRacing.com if you want a deal from the folks at Vortex. Let's get a couple of calls here, Stu. 702-586-7857. If you have a question for Stu Baylor on the show. Let's go to Roman first up on one. Roman, what's up? What's your question for Stu Baylor?
Hey, how's it going, Steve?
Good.
Hey, Stu. I ran into a few years ago here at a track in Southeast Michigan called Super Coops. You were on your way back from Marquette. I think you won the Enduro that time. I just want to say, Steve, this dude is fast on a moto track. Like, he legit.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Caleb, right? I mean, we saw Caleb come out. Like, all these guys are fast. Strang came out and raced Redbud years ago. Like, all of these top guys, they're legit for sure.
Well, he was given there's two local pro guys that top 40 guys. They make the show, local guys. One guy's, Wef Jocker is a local guy, and he was beating them. I mean, and he was on his enduro bike, and he was up putting like 45-minute motos in. I guess my question is, Stu, I gained a big fan of me that day. I never really followed enduro series until I met you, and you ever think about doing an outdoor national, kind of like what Caleb Russell did here a few years ago? I mean, obviously you got the speed of him.
What do you think, Stu?
Yeah, I think all of us have that desire to do it. I guess the most difficult part is making it, financially reasonable. At some point, it almost becomes like, all right, is it going to be worth it? Because we know we're going to line up with basically no bonuses. So I would love to go do one, but a lot of going to moto is going to be. It almost takes a year building the bike to get to that point, but. It's funny you bring up Super Coupe. I talk about that track all the time. I love it. We blew up 3 bikes that day, just so you know. That place is so deep. Like the deepest track I've ever ridden.
It's so fun, man. Yeah, I love that place.
You've been there?
Yeah, dude. It's so sick. Like you can hold a line anywhere. But no, I mean it's definitely something that I think all of the top guys want to go do and want to attempt. But like I said, when it's actually in a lot of our contracts that we're not allowed to do something without team orders. So that's what makes it difficult. And believe me, I've definitely thought about it. It just takes, I guess, a lot to get to that point to where you can pull the trigger and say, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Thanks, Roman. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Thanks. Harrison, what's your question for Stu Baylor? Harrison.
Hey guys. I just wanted to say Stu's like a big inspiration for me. I actually did his riding school up here in Connecticut. And I last year tore both my ACLs and worked really, really hard to come back. Yesterday was my first hair scramble back, and I was able to take the win, and it just feels really good. And I just wanted to take my hat off to Stu because he's been a big inspiration for me, and he puts in a lot of work. So
look at that! You
really
take
awesome.
Take a Stu Baylor school and win your next race. That's what happens, folks. That's it.
That's what happens exactly.
Yeah, Harrison, do you think should Stu keep privateering it or semi-privateering it and winning these things, or should Stu get a full-time ride, big salary at GNCC? What's he going to do? What should he do?
Well, I mean, he obviously deserves a really big ride. The problem is that everybody wants him to not be Stu. So it's a really tough thing. I think he deserves it more than anybody, but it's kind of a weird thing. He said it before that he connects with the fans, the guys that are buying the bikes.
Right.
So if those are the guys buying the bikes, then why aren't they supporting him? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, everybody's going to buy whatever bike he's on.
Sure.
I'm sure a bunch of people bought those Shercos.
Probably. Thanks, Harrison. Thanks for the call, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, what about Stu? Like, has Randy or anybody at Yamaha, have they come to you and been like, hey, dude, like, calm down? Or anything like that? Have they said anything about you, giving interviews or doing whatever?
It's been brought up subtly. I guess I haven't done anything to really rock the boat here lately.
Okay.
So, it has been brought up. It has been mentioned that I might need to change some things. But actually, my last conversation with Randy went a little differently than I think I expected, and I don't know if anybody would really expect it, but number one, the loop out at the finish line. Definitely thought that the Deegan move was going to be kind of shunned, but
I didn't like it. I didn't like it, Stu. I don't like it. I'm a former mechanic, and I don't listen. This bike just rewarded you for 2-3 hours through the woods and got you the victory. And the one you want to do is just fuck it up, Stu. Like, I don't like that. I don't like the burnouts. I don't like the ghost rides. I don't like any of that, Stu. I got to be honest. I just.
So But if you were a former mechanic, you realize that as a former mechanic on a factory team, you're going to change those plastics as soon as that race is over. Either way, right?
I would. No, absolutely. But I just
Okay.
don't like when
All right.
riders
So,
mistreat their motorcycles, Stu. I know,
so
you're happy. I get it, but Anyways,
yeah,
go ahead.
I got a little bit of that side as well, but no, actually, so the mechanic there is one of my longest friendships,
Okay.
Corey McDonald, and he did text me after the race. He said I was so pumped to see you cross the finish line and know that bike was perfectly intact, and then you went and pulled this shit off.
Yeah.
No, he definitely brought it up, but he did make a post afterwards of me looping the bike out. So I think he realized afterwards that he would have much rather changing plastic on a winning bike than changing plastic after I came in and say, dude, I wrapped it around the fucking tree.
Yeah, good point.
So,
I mean,
I think.
Yeah, you got
that.
Well, Josh Grant won a first moto at Glen Helen and throws his bike down. It's like, you got another moto, you idiot. Like, what are you doing throwing your bike down? You have another moto. You just made your mechanic work harder, potentially.
Yeah.
So that, that part.
I had just finished 3 hours.
Yeah,
This is my excuse. I did not intentionally loop that bike out. My clutch hand was tired, my throttle hand was happy, and my legs were weak.
Okay.
I don't know what happened in between then and there.
Fair enough. Hey, so we got to ask you about Sherco. So big announcement for the year. Chris Kiefer was in here, and we talked about it, and you and your brother signed to Sherco. Sherco was making a big push, everything else. But you got let go, and your brother's still there, I believe. So what happened there? What went on? I mean, obviously they were trying to build a bike that, that could win races right away out of the gate and everything, but what happened?
I honestly have to mark it up as I think it was a big miscommunication. I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot more that I can say about it aside from that. I mean, a lot of the guys, the mechanics and the marketing guy, my brother, like, obviously I still want to see those guys succeed. There was just some miscommunication along the way, and I think a lot of it just came as too little, too late. And I've said it before. I don't wish anything bad on those guys. Like, my brother, I'd love to see my brother succeed. He's kind of been the bridesmaid for years and never the bride. And I know right now he's leading that National Enduro Championship, and he's got his eyes set on that. So, definitely no hard feelings there, but there's a lot more to the story that just, basically can't be discussed, and I don't know if it ever will be.
Okay. All right. Yeah, somebody told me that you probably told them their bike sucked balls too many times, and they said, all right, you're fired. That's what I had heard. I mean,
I heard a lot of different rumors. I heard that basically the main one was that I quit, and no man's going to sit here and say, yeah, I got fired. I mean, nobody wants to admit that they got fired. I was let go from the team, and I definitely did not quit. I felt like I gave everything a shot and everything a chance, and it is what it is.
Okay,
Stu, as a moto guy, I've always wanted to do a GNCC, and like I've had friends and stuff do them. I remember Osby one time he went and did Unadilla, and they're freaking brutal. And this show's probably mostly moto related people that listen to it, like motocross and not really off road guys. Like, what if you were like someone like me, or helping someone like me get ready for a GNCC, like what would be like a couple main components that you would want to like work on or try or change on the bike to really help you try to go out and succeed and not completely die?
As far as on the bike goes, a lot of guys think that like a lot of moto guys are like, oh, you got to have bark busters, whatever. It's not the case. I mean, our tracks are made with a bulldozer. They're pretty fast. I mean, you might see us go through tight trees, and that's usually when we're trying to find a smooth line. So as far as that goes, you don't need bark busters. I would say the difference in a currently as a pro level rider, the difference in what I would assume an outdoor national setup and a GNCC setup would be our suspension is going to be a little bit faster, just to keep that ground. Basically, we don't mind if we get that buck that you guys are trying to take away on braking, and we want the traction on the ground anytime it gets rooty or rocky, and then we're going to be a little bit softer. So that would be two things. And if you were actually wanting to get ready and go do it, what I make moto guys do, we have a lot of moto guys that come down. I own a track in South Carolina, and when the moto guy says, hey, I want to do a GNCC, I make him ride. I've got a 50-second turn track, and I make him do an hour moto.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
Dude, you put a moto guy out there for more than 15, like an amateur moto rider out there for more than 15 minutes, and they lose their mind. They fall apart. They crumble.
I would bet.
Dude, it's terrible. Like I've done 20s and stuff on short turn tracks.
Yeah.
And it's tough to stay focused.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, it really is a grind to just like teach yourself to really like buckle down.
Right.
And, stay focused in that zone, because it's tough.
Before you two leave tonight, over on the wall right over there in the studio is my GNCC Ironman plaque from the industry class. Just go take a look at that beauty.
That's great.
And soak that in. My 5th place.
I'm
all right.
super
Soak
proud
that
of
in.
you.
All right.
Well, you finished the GNCC?
Well, industry class.
Dude, I thought this was Pulp MX.
It is, but
me.
I dabble in the
killing
off-road
me.
stuff. I mean, I dabble.
Geez,
in
all that shit you gave Zacho, and you're a sellout. You're freaking racing GNCCs.
Yeah, I know. I was at KTM. I was working for KTM. When you work at KTM, I was hanging out with Shane Watts back in the day, and he
No
made me do it.
linkage. No
Talon,
linkage.
did you know about this?
Yeah.
Steve hates off-road. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah, like,
I
what's
took him
my
out
guess?
riding once, and he just complained the whole time.
You took me to some shithole spots.
They're
I bet-
actually really fun trails.
I bet you
just
Stu would
wouldn't
take
know.
me to some cool shit, and unlike you.
It just wouldn't be
Dude,
dusty.
You come out east. We don't have that many shithole spots.
No.
But
Dude, there's a
You gotta-
sand pit by where Stu lives.
Yeah.
That is freaking sick.
What
the
is it?
place where the club guys always go.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're trying to shut that place down.
Dude, they've been trying to shut that place down since I got there. You just had to avoid the cops.
Stu, there's a question on 4 from Nick. He said that you should stay privateer and say "fuck the money." From Nick. That's what he wants you to do.
Trust me, that has been one of the hardest decisions. I've done it. I've avoided the factory teams for the last 5 years, and it has been really fun. And actually, at the end of the day, doing private deals, you usually make a little bit better money on the tail end if you're doing well, and I've done well. So the difference is the support that you get from a factory team, and that's the hardest part to argue with. I would love to sit here and say, I don't need the money. I can do it on my own, and I think you can. I've proven that you can.
Yeah.
Up to a certain extent. I win the national enduros, but when it comes to GNCC time, it's a little bit different. When you've got a team there and you don't have to worry about anything except lining up, doing a leg over a bike, that's where it comes in. So I guess I'd love to say that, and trust me, the thought has crossed my mind many times.
Yeah.
But I think right now I'm getting in the later parts of my career. I don't really want to race past 30. So, I'm trying to wrap it up with some factory deals and win some championships. And then maybe after that, then I'll pull a Watsy, go out and show all the young boys how to. If you're a Watsy fan, not many people realize who Watsy is.
Oh, he's a
especially the
legend.
moto guys listening.
Legend.
He is that guy. I'm talking. Drink all night, pass out under his van, wake up hungover, probably drink another beer, and go destroy the competition on a tire that he hasn't changed in 12 months. That's the guy that I want to be.
Baylor,
badass.
I was at KTM in Ohio working for the motocross team, and I've told this story before, but I watched him uncrate a bike and go win a GNCC on it. He was sponsored by FMF, but because the stock pipes were nickel-plated, he didn't have to put one on. He didn't have to change the tire. The tire was already a Michelin, and he'd go win a GNCC. I watched it.
He probably didn't check the tire pressure either.
No, just a legend for sure. And he lived in a box fan. He was making tons of money. He lived in a box fan behind KTM. He showered with a garden hose over a basketball hoop. That was his shower. He had a hot plate that he would eat meals on, and he would plug into the KTM, and that's where he lived.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
Yes, yes, and he was
freaking rad.
crushing the competition.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the fastest off-road rider, and I think if you would have put him on a moto track at the time, one of the fastest riders all around across the board.
He made Steel City one year, I believe, right? Then he had a flat, or I don't remember what happened. He didn't finish either moto, but I think he made the motos at Steel City, and then he overalled at 6 days, right? I think
He overall the
Yep.
six on a 125.
on a 125.
On a 125.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
No,
Yeah.
dude, he's amazing. Talon, you got a question for Stu?
Yeah, so with your knee injury earlier this year, and I've heard that had part of the reason for you getting fired at Sherco. How is your mental state and, doing riding schools to pay the bills and all that? How has that affected you? And then obviously it seems like you're using that as motivation for these wins.
Yeah, I had a pretty rough ride. I'm actually trying to work on a video to kind of illustrate the story a little bit better, but basically I had 3 surgeries after the what should have been a win, where Caleb and I came down to the finish, and it almost looks like I just let him by. It was an off-camera corner in my defense, but yeah, I had multiple surgeries. Ended up with a really bad infection, put me in the hospital during COVID. That made things much worse with the COVID situation. Like no visitors, absolutely nothing for 7 or 8 days. I was in the hospital, a PICC line, and then on top of that, basically I didn't get to rehab my knee. So I had planned originally. I was racing Pennsylvania National Enduro, period. So I came into that race and I borrowed a bike. I had only ridden one time for 17 minutes going in, and I got a 5th, but I won the first test. So like right there, I was like, all right, you know what?
Yeah.
I've still got the speed. And I was honestly terrified lining up to that race. I told the guys helping me out, I said, you know what, I'm going to run one test, and then I'm pulling it in. If I'm not in the top 5, I'm pulling it in. And I won
really?
that test.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that was the motivation I needed. Winning that first test was everything I needed to continue forward. And it was difficult. I basically went from, I would assume that Caleb probably made more, but as far as without even needing results over the last few years, I would arguably say I was one of the highest paid off-road riders in the world, maybe second to Caleb. And I had, the nice A-class RV, the wake boats, the new trucks, the new house and the nice neighborhood and everything that goes with it. And, at that point, I lost my ride. I was in the hospital. I have all these medical bills piling up, and everything came at once. And like you said, it was definitely a huge motivator for myself. Like I wanted to give it 3 more good years. And at that point, people were counting me out. I had heard it multiple times. I think this is it for Baylor. I doubt he'll get another ride. I doubt he'll get another chance. Whatever it may be, if he gets another ride, I doubt we'll see him back on top. And I think, for certain riders, positivity drives them. Other riders, adversity does.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've seen it. Like, I know we hear the story all the time, and it's obviously overrated, I think, in moto side to all the moto listeners. But Ken Roxon, like, the guy is a fucking animal. I don't care who you are.
Right.
Like, to get back from what he came from, I had 5 wrist reconstructions, and I just did my skateboard. To come from what he came from, that guy feeds on adversity. When you comment something negative on his post, he's using it for fuel to the fire. I feel like that's kind of where I stand, and everybody's a little bit different. My brother, no adversity in his program. Like, he needs to line up with positivity.
Right,
so,
right.
No, it's definitely fuel to the fire, and like you said, motivation, and I think that did help in these last few races. I knew what I had to do and what I needed to do to get back.
Talon, so dive into this Stu knee conspiracy Sherco thing that you hear. What did you hear?
I heard that he had surgery without telling the team,
Okay.
and they got mad and fired him. But I don't know how true that is.
Okay,
I kind of read that on Vital, I think.
Add that to the list of excuses or reasons or rumors, I should say. Add that list to the list of rumors, Stu, right?
Yeah, I would say that's more of a rumor. It was definitely discussed.
Right.
I had talked about it. I talked about it with the team pretty openly. You know, I had a knee injury that was existing for the last couple of years, and I really wanted to make sure that it was, you know, it was done right, and you know, I wanted to move forward with a good knee for the later part of my career, and hopefully that would be the advantage that I needed for the rest of the guys. You know, I for the last 2 years with this knee, it's just been it's been tough. It's good one weekend, it sucks the next, and I think it caused a lot of flaws in that consistency in my riding. So that was the reason I got it fixed.
The guy writing the checks at Sherco was just like, fuck, Baylor won again. Fuck. He's like, this motherfucker. Did I hear that you were Yamaha's first win since Wibbles? Since Wibbly? Is that true?
No, Ricky Russell got one in 2017.
Oh, okay.
No shoe.
All right.
Ricky, 2017, right? No shoe?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm so. I
Sorry.
apologize.
Hey, this is the difference between off-road and moto. I'm currently in a house with Josh Toth and Ricky Russell, and tomorrow probably going road riding with Josh Strang.
Yeah.
I got off the phone with Caleb earlier. Like
literally all the
each
guys
other.
hanging out together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like we like each other. We get along. Like, even, you know, the two people that should probably hate each other right now would be Caleb and Strang, who both had a couple rough races,
and they had that, they got into
Strang,
it. Yeah, they got into it earlier this year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they've got into it multiple times over the years, and you know, Strang stopped for Caleb, who was crashed, and actually picked him up, put him on his bike to get him out of the woods this weekend. So, you know, it's a little bit different here on the off-road side. I think we're not paid enough for what we do, so we just don't care. We want to have fun with each other.
Ex-brand athletes Alex Ray, Strang, and Stu Baylor. Last call for Stu Baylor on the show. Ben, what's going on? What's your question for Stuart?
Stu, I'm down in the southeast, and I was wondering, are you going to do any more camps before the GNCC series ends or anything like that?
I don't know. I did my riding schools basically to provide for the family while things were rough, and with racing going really well right now, I think I'm gonna put all my eggs in that basket for now. But, you know, I'm actually starting a training facility. I want to kind of be the premier off-road training facility. I know Moto has quite a few, so that's the ultimate goal, is this off season to get that up on its feet. My uncle and I have been working hard for the last 2 years to get that place up. So maybe not necessarily riding schools per se, but doing full-time stuff there instead.
Ben, no riding school, but do you want some Race Tech Gold Valve kit and some T-shirts from Race Tech?
Sure, that'd be awesome.
Okay, well, you know what? Like I said, no riding school, but we are going to give you a Gold Valve certificate and some T-shirt and hat, all right, from the folks at Race Tech.
Awesome.
Stay on hold. We'll get your
Awesome,
information, all right? Stay on hold, Ben.
Stu, where's your track at? It's southwest of Columbia, right?
Yeah, it's southwest of Columbia, like an hour 15 from Columbia.
Oh, okay. What time? I can't remember what was it? Did somebody own it before you?
No, so we're not far from probably the track that you're thinking of, which was, it had a bunch of different names, but Motivated is the most recent owner. So we started this place. It was supposed to be a cattle farm. I've been my idea, like my goal since years ago. Basically, I got injured with my wrist issues and was sidelined for almost 2 years in 2012, 13. And I always wanted to do a riding facility when I retired. My uncle had bought this cattle property, and we were looking at another place to do a facility, and this place had a little bit of sand, a little bit of black dirt, some rocks, some hills, some off-camber, like literally anything you could think of. So we started building this place a few years ago, but it's the perfect off-road, you know, full-scale off-road riding place, but it's got, you know, I've got a full outdoor national moto track. I mean, it's legit. I spend a lot of time in a dozer. If I'm not on a dirt bike, that's where I'm sitting. I've got a course light between my legs, and I'm riding that dozer and trying to make cool shit.
Wow.
Hell yeah. So, I mean, obviously you're racing for 3 hours, and you got to practice like super gnarly. How do you keep your hands in check? Do you have any of those risk racing like palm saver things.
Underwear, gloves.
Yeah.
Do you pee on your hands like A-Ray does?
Yeah, so like whenever I get a blister or something like that, like I'll go in the shower and I'll piss on my hands and sort of rub it together. Like, is anybody
I
else?
do the same thing. You
Hell
should
yeah,
see my
see?
hands right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So like I've pissed on my hands before.
You're fucking kidding
No,
me.
the Risk Racing tape actually does really well. They sent me a few packs of it last year, and it definitely does help. And normally under most circumstances, the first 2 races I blister like hell. After that, I do pretty decent with it. I think most of the guys kind of after the first 2, nobody really tapes anymore, unless there's one spot. Like certain guys, my brother always blisters inside of his thumbs, so he always has to watch the inside of his thumbs, and I think he runs two of the little grip donuts, and myself, I don't grip tight on the inside of the bars. I grip on the outside, so I always get it like my pinky, like basically right below my pinky, and the outside of my palm will get blistered. But there's no real saving that. I've tried with the tape, and that's it is what it is. But I mean, after the first couple races, you seem to get man hands. That's something you moto girls don't know about.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Well, hey, he's pissed on his hands before. He knows. Like,
hey, I get you. No, he's ridden the Mid-South. He's done 3 hours. Hats off. Any moto guy that wants to sign up and put himself through that shit and actually finishes, like, hats off to that guy.
Yeah. So Cade,
I hit the tree so hard I knocked the lenses out of my fucking goggles.
Cade, I've done 2 GNCCs. He did something called a Mid-South. What do you got, Cade? You got anything?
I did a fucking enduro cross too, dude. I was out there with Wild Willie Palmer.
A-Ray did an arena cross, an enduro cross with Wild Willie Palmer, and just about fucking died.
Dude, I want to do an enduro cross so bad.
No, you don't.
So
Trust
bad.
me,
I really want to do one.
You do not.
But no, I've always wanted to do one. My dad did not like the hair scrambles things that we had in Ohio when I was growing up. He never wanted me to do one, and I think it'd be sick. I'm not a sand guy, so I'm not doing Florida or anything like that. But I want to do like Ohio and stuff like that.
All right, we'll get you out there.
I almost did Mud Mucker after Daytona one time. That was thank God I didn't do that one. Jesus Christ.
Hey Stu, thanks for coming on, man. Really cool story. Like I said, I just read the GNCC stuff. I kind of follow it a little bit, but your story is pretty neat and pretty cool. And I got to say, we got so many DMs and requests on Instagram to get you on this show that I had to do it, man. And great interview and really cool story. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, man, it's good to be on here. I thought you guys were moto guys. I thought for sure like you guys were kind of snowflakes, and I was a little worried, like honestly, what I was getting into.
This is the anti-snowflake show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. No, I've got a really good fan base. My guys are redneck as they come. Like half of them are probably piss drunk listening to this show, and those are the guys that. As I've said it 1,000 times, those are the guys that are buying bikes, the guys that have a cold one in their hand every night and just got done working their ass off all day to buy their kid their next bike and hopefully go racing on Sunday.
That's awesome, man. No, it's a cool story for sure. We'll start the rumor now that Caleb is faking his knee injury to get away from you. We'll start that now.
Yep. Early retire. Put him in. I put him into early retirement.
Stu Baylor put him into early retirement.
Yeah.
I like
blew
that.
his doors off. I was going so fast he got scared.
I like that. Yeah, absolutely. That works, man. Well, hey, thank you for the time tonight. Appreciate it, and good luck, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. See ya. Steward Baylor, everybody. I told you he'd be good.
I like that. That was good.
People like the guy.
They
really do.
That's a sick interview.
I like him.
I like
he
dudes
pisses on his hands. I like it.
But like I like that he seems like he's real, and he like kind of pisses sponsors off sometimes.
Yeah.
I think we all
got to tiptoe. We all got to tiptoe.